The Vivo Z1 Pro is the first ever mid-range smartphone to feature the latest Snapdragon 712. It's equipped to offer a lot of power for a pretty good cost. Now this obviously means that you get to play the best games in high definition without any loss. Now let's start with Asphalt 9. The Z1 Pro variant that I have has 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of onboard storage. And 6 gigs of RAM is actually more than enough for any Android smartphone for optimal performance. Now Asphalt 9, in general, it has a tendency to slow down mid-range phones and also increase temperature if you play for too long. But while I'm playing here on the Z1 Pro, I really don't feel like there's any sort of delay or, frames are lagging, nothing of that sort. It's pretty smooth. And at this point in time, I don't feel any rise in temperature, but again, it's too soon for me to comment on that. So let's keep playing the game, more games, and see how the temperature rises. But so far so good, and you can see the graphics are pretty great. Even when cars collide in slow motion, the sparks, the smoke, and look at the dust in the front, all of that. I think it's pretty impressive to see that mid-range smartphones have now come to a level where you could play games like Asphalt 9 in best of their quality on an FHD Plus display. And you're not really compromising on the display quality here because it is rendering the game in Full HD quality. So again, as I said, it's pretty impressive that a mid-range smartphone that doesn't cost you more than 20,000 is able to give you such an experience when it comes to gaming. Now, a lot of this also has to do with the multi-turbo mode that the Z1 Pro comes with. It basically improves the performance of the phone automatically by providing a network acceleration for online multiplayer gaming. It allocates more power and resources to ensure seamless performance, and it manages your notifications, your incoming phone calls. You could choose to enable or disable them. And if you do want to access Game Assistant again, you just have to swipe from the top left corner and it'll give you access pretty quickly. Alright, let's move to Modern Combat 5 now. It's a pretty good game to test out a couple of things. 1, response to touch. B, textures and shadows. And C, just overall gameplay, how smooth it is and how optimized it is for the phone as well. And you can see that the response to touch is pretty good. Modern Combat in itself is a game which is pretty well optimized for all devices, so it really brings out the best of a device, and that's why I really like featuring this game in all my tests. Now look at the smoke, look at the fire and the way it's rising. It's pretty smooth, and again guys, just for a mid-range smartphone, I think it's doing a phenomenal job. Look at the solar flares, the light that's coming, all of that, pretty good. What also really adds to the gaming experience is the display. It's a 6.53-inch FHD Plus LCD display, so you get an immersive and crisp gaming experience. And now coming to PUBG. The impressive bit is that it automatically selected high graphics as the default graphics setting. That's great. It's a mid-range smartphone and PUBG still identified it capable of playing the game in high definition. Now, did you see that there was a slight stutter, like a slight lag? Now, that was there in the beginning of the game, but let's hope that it does not come back because, it is a mid-range smartphone at the end of the day. So to really expect that it's going to play every game in highest quality setting without any issues is also a bit too much. But look at the gradients in the sky, look at those solar flares, look at the detail otherwise. Even the textures on the floor, the shadows, they all look pretty good. It's nothing less than what a regular flagship experience might also give to you. Now, the response to touch is pretty good, as you can see. Look at the way the sun is beaming on the wings of the plane and how it sort of, changes with the way you change the angle. So, pretty smooth. And guys, PUBG being an online multiplayer game does require network to ensure that you get, a very consistent, seamless playing experience. All of this being online. Now, I talked about multi-turbo in the beginning, and that's exactly what it does. It gives the game a network boost. Because it knows that it requires that network capability to ensure that your gaming experience is as good as possible and that you never miss a beat. And guys, I've been playing this for quite a while now. While I've been showing you cuts of the game, but I've been playing it non-stop. The phone is actually not heating up. It's pretty amazing that a mid-range smartphone is able to pull this much off. And again, just look at, the touch to response. It's pretty good. Now, even the punch hole camera does not bother much. You get used to it so quickly that you don't even notice it after some time, and that's exactly what you want. It's a nice 91% screen-to-body ratio with thin bezels and maximized screen real estate. And sure, I would prefer the OnePlus 7 Pro display, but guys, that's a 90Hz display, it's AMOLED, and it's 30,000 rupees more expensive than the Z1 Pro. So in terms of value, I think you get a lot more from the Z1 Pro than a phone like OnePlus 7 or the 7 Pro. Now I'm playing yet another online multiplayer game, which is Modern Combat Versus. So this is a real-time peer-to-peer FPS game, and the Z1 Pro, as I said, has something called as Net Turbo, which is a part of its multi-turbo feature. It really does a good job of allocating network resources to the game because it understands that the game needs more bandwidth than other apps in the background for a smoother, seamless, lag-free gaming experience. And it's really these small things that make all the difference when it comes to gaming. AI has a huge role to play in this, and that's where Snapdragon 712 comes into play. You can see all of this right here in front of you guys. It's a mid-range smartphone and it's playing all these intense HD games that require network capabilities for flawless performance all pretty smoothly. And by the way, it also features something called as Cooling Turbo, which keeps the phone's temperature under check despite long hours of gaming. And on top of all of this, you get a 5000 mAh battery, which basically is massive in itself, and it does promise you long hours of gaming than most smartphones in this range. Another thing I want to talk about is that black bar that may appear in, some games which may not be optimized for full screen, but you can force that. So if you go into display settings and go into third-party app display ratio, you could go to that game and then you could check full screen. You can just force the game to play in full screen. So now if I go back using the shortcut center, there you go. So now it's going to be full screen all the way, So of course it does look great and it's a big display. So you really want to play all the games in that full screen experience. Now, this is Chameleon Run, and again, it used to be a game that used to really give mid-range smartphones a run for its resources, but again, mid-range smartphones, they've been improving by the time, and Chameleon Run now plays pretty smoothly on quite a few mid-range smartphones. And the Z1 Pro is not going to be an exception, considering it can play a lot better games. So guys, if you're looking for a gaming smartphone under rupees 20,000, or actually rupees 18,000, the Vivo Z1 Pro is probably the best choice that you have at the moment. I mean, it's got the latest Snapdragon 712, it's got multi-turbo feature, it's got a big screen experience, and it's got a massive 5000 mAh battery. Plus, it's got like a ton of features that really does make gaming a lot smoother. So thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next one.